Summer is here. It is the time for vacations, swimming, and another season of anime. Not as many rom-coms as last season, but there are still quite a few good options for shows to watch.
せやけど探したけどどこにもなかったやんか頭。じゃあ代わりのものでごまかそう。代わりって？
Put the money in the bag.
So there seems to be this new genre of shows popping up recently that I like to call the cute girls do mundane things category. And Teppen with too many exclamation marks falls into that category. This one is all about these girls who do comedy. All these comedy groups have been brought together to live in the big city to compete in the Teppen Grand Prix. These girls are only allowed to stay at the house if they do well in Teppen. So they are all aiming to be the top comedy group. So basically this is Cute Girls Do Comedy Tournament Arc Edition. Another show that teeters into the genre while still being an isekai is Parallel World Pharmacy, where a man ends up being brought into another world in the body of a child named Pharma. Ironic, I know. He gains the power that allows for him to identify illnesses and injuries within people, as well as the ability to create most elements and compounds. With these powers and his knowledge from his previous life as a doctor, he is able to bring about more modern medicinal practices to this world. With the aim of making medicine something readily available to all people, Pharma begins training to be able to control this divine power of his. While magic is very prevalent in this show, it still has the charm of simply being a show about an anime boy doing pharmaceutical things, and introducing these modern ideas to a world similar to that of Earth in times when our knowledge of medicine was still influenced by the stars and prayer. While on the topic of isekai, let's go through some of the others of this season. Here we have My Isekai Life, where a guy dies and is reincarnated in another world with the power to summon creatures to fight at this side. And here we have Black Summoner, where a guy dies and is reincarnated in another world with the power to tame creatures to fight at his side. Two very different and original concepts. You don't believe me, do you? See, take a look at My Isekai Life. Now look at Black Summoner. Do you believe me now?
Oh my god!
I won't get another time to rant about this, so here we go. If you don't want to listen to a rant, go to the timestamp on screen. I personally don't care too much about CGI in anime. I understand that not every show has a budget akin to the big shonens, but when I first saw Gerard the Knight, I was shocked, but I thought it might not be too bad. Definitely off-putting, but I could deal with it personally. However, the fight between Kelvin and Gerard swapping between 2D and 3D, just no. I draw the line there. If you're gonna do CGI, either commit or don't do it at all. That's all I've got to say about that.
これから寝る前と朝起きた時はキスをして挨拶
Don't let your kids watch it!
Finally, we have the horny show for the season that has many scenes I am afraid to show on YouTube for fear of having my channel taken down. Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. Now, I'll admit, I didn't think it would be that bad when I first heard the name. I thought it might be like Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, where the title is just that classic YouTube clickbait. But no, it is a very ecchi show. The plot, well, I guess there is technically a plot. The story starts out with Michio waking up in what he believes to be a VR game, but after committing many murders, learns it is now his life. When going to town to get his reward for killing the bandits, though, he meets a slave trader who introduces him to Roxanne, a dog girl thing, and my man immediately starts simping. He works for a few days doing things in the labyrinth and committing more murder until he has enough money to buy her. So basically, it's the story of a simp in another world. And while on the topic of this show, I want to mention the ending. Some reason we just have the slave keeper over here spitting bars during the ending? Why? Just why? Speaking of simps, Rent-A-Girlfriend got another season. Nothing has really changed so far at the time of recording. Kazuya is still a tier 3 Chizuru sub. Chizuru is still making them big bucks off of Kazuya's simpage. Mami is still a snake in human clothing. Ruka is still trying to vie for any of Kazuya's spare attention. And Sumi, well, she's here too, I guess. When it comes to sequels, we were quite spoiled this season. Overlord finally gets its long-awaited and deserved 4th season. Shadow House gets its 2nd season. Main Abyss comes back after 5 years for another season. Unless you count the movie as a season, then it's only been 2 years. Classroom of the Elite is actually making a comeback after its 5-year wait. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, also known as Danmachi, is getting its 4th season. And don't you worry, Danmachi fans, Hestia is still very horny for her child Belle. And finally, maybe the most surprising of all is that the devil is back after 8 years and is now a father, along with being a part-timer. Which, it's still the same type of show it was before, aside from the, well, adjustment in animation style. The show now, though, competes in a new category of characters I like to call the I must protect at all costs archetype. The most recent example of this goes to Spy X Family with Anya, but now we've got Alice Ramos, just a cute child that believes she is the daughter of the devil and hero. Oh wait, she's gonna blush.
言ってろよ。バカ。
The other show that competes in this protect category is the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting with our star girl Yaika, who is just absolutely adorable. The story revolves around Kirishima, a member of the Yakuza, who is referred to as the Devil of Sakuragi, and he ends up being put in charge of the boss's daughter with the hope of teaching him some responsibility. So Kirishima works to make sure that Yaika will go to school, do her homework, and prevent strange men from attacking her on the walk to school. You know, normal babysitter things. With so many adorable moments in the show that will make that tier ready to hit the floor, as well as a kitty going through an existential crisis just from being in a box, I cannot recommend it enough as a feel-good show. Ruby has finally been given a new adaptation, which has quite excited me. As someone who couldn't get into the original Ruby simply because of how it looks, this has me quite hyped. I'm really hopeful for this new adaptation, as the original creator of Ruby never got their idea realized, and from what I've heard, the original went downhill quite fast.
こうなったら私のこと好きって認めたら抱きしめてやるぞ。これじゃ足りないか？ならチューもしてやってもいいぞ。
先輩、集中したいので静かにしてもらえますか？
In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
When will Ayumu make his move? That is the burning question. And name of this show, where Ayumu refuses to make a move on his senpai until he has accomplished his goal of beating her in a game of shogi. However, that does not stop the Ayumu from calling Urushi cute whenever he gets the chance. These two have a pretty good dynamic to them, which makes their interactions enjoyable to watch. Ayumu is a very calm and collected person who doesn't show much emotion. Meanwhile, Urushi is the senpai who wants to be admired by her kohai, but is embarrassed by every little thing that Ayumu does. Ultimately, it's a cute, turn your brain off show that is enjoyable to watch.
すいません、僕帰ります。怖いのでさよなら。
そうはいかないぞ少年。大丈夫大丈夫、何にもしないって。先っぽだけだから。
何の先っぽ？
Middle school student Ko Yamori begins to feel discontent with his daily life and experiencing insomnia. He decides to venture.
Into the unknown.
This for him is the night. On his first outing, he meets this girl, Nazuna Nanakusa, who says she will teach him how to sleep. She takes him back to her place in a way that some may consider grooming, but I'm gonna call, assistance. They lay down to sleep, and suddenly, she bites him, revealing that Nazuna is a vampire who goes about at night looking for people to drink blood from, and Ko just happened to be her choice tonight. However, just like with any anime protagonist, there is something different about Ko, and his blood making Nazuna want more. Ko allows for this under the pretense that he can eventually become a vampire himself. However, the only way to become a vampire in this world is to fall in love with one and have them drink your blood. This sets up the premise for the show, where Ko is going out every night, trying to eventually fall in love with Nazuna. The two characters exhibit some of the best dynamics between characters this season. Nazuna is a carefree, outgoing person who does what she wants, roaming the night. For, as she says, who loves to make lewd jokes but who crumbles in embarrassment at the mention of romance. Meanwhile, Ko is a middle school student who has spent all of his life alone, as an outcast among his peers. Person who has never had any plans for the future. He finally has something to strive for. This show has its share of wholesome moments between Ko and Nazuna as the relationship develops. Call of the Night was the show I was looking forward to the most, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. Another show that has exceeded my expectations is Licorice. I mean Licorice. Licorice recoil. In this version of Japan, there is a corps of soldiers known as the Licorice who protect the peace. The catch is, the Licorice are all high school aged girls. Why did they need to be girls? Well, because that sells more merchandise, John! We are brought into the show through a mission to capture arms dealers. However, it goes wrong and one of the Licorice are captured. The commander at the time is frazzled and cannot communicate with DA, so main girl 1, Takina, steps in, killing all the enemies to save her fellow Licorice. This is ultimately seen as a failure though by DA, so Takina is sent away to cover up the mess this caused. Insert main girl 2, Chisato, aka John Wick's VTuber phase, a fellow Licorice who left DA on her own and does more or less her own thing. The two characters are polar opposites. Chisato is a lively, carefree, and outgoing, while Takina is a much more reserved and focused character. And these opposites surely do attract. Their differences create an environment where Takina is learning from Chisato how to think for herself and become her own person. Oh, come on. Anime protagonists just always get put in the luckiest situations. My man Alto does horribly in one part of his schooling and then gets to summon a goth mommy demon GF that just fights for him? Meanwhile, I'm stuck over here doing well enough in all my classes and nothing. I'm just here. Alone.
'Cause I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. My problems have all gone. There's no one to deride me.
Vermilion Gold is a show about a boy who ends up summoning a demon to be his familiar in a world where demons are thought to be evil incarnate. So, to prevent a commotion, he has to hide Vermil as a human. With the goal of becoming a Platinum Star Mage, Alto, with the help of Vermil, works towards that goal through the power of kissing. Now, if I had a nickel for every anime this season where the main protagonists enhance their power through kissing, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a whole lot, but it's strange that it happened twice. For Engage Kiss though, that's not where the gimmick ends. Shu Ogata was a normal guy, until one day demons appeared and killed his family. After that day, his only goal was the eradication of the demon that killed his family. Now, with the power of a demon at his side, he is stronger than ever. For some reason this feels quite familiar. Oh, this is just Demon Slayer if it was set in Alabama. Now, on today's episode of I Can't Believe It's Not Incest, my stepmom's daughter is my ex. God, we really are just finding new ways to get around being blood related. This time though, the main couple had dated before becoming siblings and had drifted apart, but now this show tries to be more wholesome rather than devolving into the potential dumpster fire route. However, there are definitely some fatherless behaviors going on. We've got managing to fall onto your sister and almost kissing her, girls rubbing up against each other, Yume being sick, Yume using Mizuto to fulfill her kink, and sniffing of the undies. And that is the summer anime season. Definitely a pretty strong season, but the fall season is definitely going to be a knockout. And if you want to hear about that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. That way you can be notified as soon as that video goes out. Anyways, I'm Leoro, and this has been the summer 2022 anime season. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!
「